It's over 9,000!
Welcome, Super Elite Warriors, to Final Forum, a podcast for the discussion of all things Dragon Ball. I am your host, Jelly, an elite recruiting member of the Frieza Force on a mission to find the best warriors from across the galaxy to join the greatest army of all time, and I am joined, as always, by my new recruit co-host.
This is the Bekinney, and join us as we uncover the cultural inspirations and hidden history behind Akira Toriyama's seminal franchise.
Are you about ready?
For what?
To blast out of this dimensional vortex and back into reality. What else?
Why would we do that?
To get back to reality. How is that not obvious?
Why would that be necessary?
Why wouldn't it be?
Well, I feel like if it were, the other us's would have said something.
I also feel like they should have said something about it taking several hours to get to our destination.
Well, maybe they didn't know. Maybe traveling between dimensions and across the vastness of space takes time. Maybe it only feels like hours to us, but it's actually a couple of seconds due to time dilation.
Is that how time dilation works?
What should I know?
Listen, are you ready or not?
Obviously not.
Well, get ready. And while you do, let's get into this week's topic. And this week, we're going to finish off the Garlic Jr. arc, and we'll make sure then we do our ratings at the end. But before we do that, we'll do our little remind everyone to rate and review, all that good stuff. That's great. Here's what I'm going to say for today. I'm going to challenge you, the listener. Find one person you know and tell them about this show. Just one person. You can tell your mom and be like, hey, I know this really cool history podcast, and they talk about like Japanese history. You could tell a friend that you knew in high school who liked anime and be like, hey, dude, I know someone else who likes anime also. There's these two guys. You could tell your teacher. You could tell your swim coach. You could tell your tuba teacher. You could tell your boss. Tell your boss.
In fact, bring it up at your next team meeting.
But tell a person. Tell another person that you think would like this show to check out this show. I think that's the most impactful thing. Do that. With that, I'm going to kick it back over to Bekinney, and today we're covering episodes 112?
Yes.
Through 117. And we'll finish off the Garlic Jr. arc and get into some notes about some of the filler and stuff that we have here.
That's right. And we're going to kick it off with episode 112, titled Call for Restoration. So let's add getting choked out by your mentor and martial arts master to Gohan's ever-growing list of traumas. The abuses continue, and you now know that bad guys are truly the bad guys because they're enjoying the show. There's some pretty good art in this episode as well, so it's not a total loss. The other henchmen try to force their way into the action, but Piccolo pushes them back. Krillin tries to stealthily rescue Kami. All it gets him is nearly killed. Luckily, Gohan throws Piccolo in the way of Garlic's blast. Oof. Add it to the list. Gohan shows concern for Piccolo, and that moment of letting his guard down is the opening that Piccolo is looking for. Krillin jumps in the way to save Gohan and joins the zombie horde. Meanwhile, Marin is clearing out Korin and Yajirobe in poker. Gohan's worried about Krillin, but he doesn't have time to worry as Piccolo continues the assault. Gohan catches one of the meanest beatdowns we've seen yet, like worse than Frieza. What the hell? Piccolo then decides 2 fists aren't enough and he goes for 6, giving Gohan triple the beatdown. Then everyone else joins in, even Krillin. Gohan then proceeds to catch more hands than Daredevil. But Garlic wants the final blow, which puts Garlic in range of for the plan to go off. Piccolo's actually been faking this whole time. That makes all those horrible things that Gohan just went through so much worse. Add it to the list! Piccolo snatches Kami and Popo off of Garlic and frees them. How the tables have turned. And that brings us to episode 113, titled Suicidal Course. So the deception's been dropped and our heroes are now playing offensive line while Kami uses the Ultra Holy Water. Just one problem. The mist won't spread fast enough for the cure to work. It's still a win for the bad guys. So we get a glimpse of hell on Earth that the world is becoming, with 2 people being eaten alive by cats and rats. Seriously, this is a kid's show. It showed people getting eaten alive by cats and rats. This was on daytime TV. Then we cut back to Kami's, where Mr. Popo has a backup plan. Use the 7 wind currents to spread the Ultra Holy Water very quickly. Game back on. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the universe, Vegeta is still slaughtering Frieza's henchmen. Back at Kami's, the fight is pretty much destroying everything. Also, during the fight, the guy Krillin is fighting catches a Destructo Disc, which is just straight disrespect at this point. Like, does this move ever going to actually get anybody? Then Gohan impales a man on the architecture. Piccolo puts Garlic through a couple walls, and Kami takes a ride on Mr. Popo's magic carpet ride. Garlic pulls some extra power from his planet, the Bekio Star, and pulls out the big guns. Meanwhile, Kami and Piccolo make it to the Shinsenkai, the burial place of previous Kami, the final barrier between them and the 7 wind currents. Visiting here could potentially take Kami's life and thus Piccolo's as well. It's a gamble, but not releasing the water in time still spells doom for Earth. Let's hope Kami succeeds, because it looks like Garlic and his cronies are ready for round 2. That brings us to episode 114, titled Extreme Measures. The Demon Clan kicks off with a little buffing up, then we get to some really pretty fight scenes to set the tone. Meanwhile, deep in the temple, Kami and Popo are trying to pass through the Shinsenkai, but are waylaid by a spirit of Kami's past. I mean previous Kami, not like chronologically, I guess. Kami tries to talk pre-Kami. No, wait, I'm going to do a different. Present Kami tries to convince past Kami to let them through, but he gets stonewalled, so it's time to just hoof it. We jump back and forth from the chase scene, which is sort of adorable, to the fight scene, which is very brutal. Krillin gets knocked out, then thrown from the lookout. Gohan tries to go for the rescue, while the henchmen try to box him out. Instead, they just make him desperate. He manages to save Krillin, but Piccolo is the one who's in trouble now. Garlic is overconfident that he took Piccolo out. Gohan even steps up to fight next, and we even get that classic hold still for a frame on each fighter's face as they square up for 2 seconds. But it turns out Piccolo isn't done. What a surprise. It would seem there's a drawback to Garlic's new form. It's slower, and this is something that'll come up quite a few times actually going forward, where size is actually a detriment. Kami and Popo continue their excellent adventure, but it looks as though Kami's fading fast. Let's hope he can hold out until Piccolo can defeat Garlic. Piccolo struggles as Kami fades in and out of existence, and you'd think his student would jump in to help, and oh, nope, there it goes. Finally jumped in. Which brings us to episode 115, The World Awakens. So things are looking rough. We've got a whole world of people running amok, Gohan facing off against Garlic Jr., and Kami has a whole bunch of dead Kamis pissed off at him. Garlic thinks he's getting ahead on this deal, but Gohan might actually be a stronger opponent at this point. Meanwhile, Kami finally stands up to his predecessors with a very nice speech. Gohan takes a play out of his dad's old playbook and headbutts through the enemy, then blows him up for good measure. He is immortal, though, remember that. I guess we're going to find out exactly what kind of immortal, though, but it looks like he's probably operating under Wolverine rules at this point. Okay, so Garlic is still alive with a big hole through his body. Well, not for long, anyway. In fact, they got this really fun shot where you can see Krillin and Piccolo through the hole in his chest, which I thought was pretty fun. Mm-hmm. But it grows back okay. You know, like I said, it's Wolverine on steroids, basically. Emphasis on the steroids. Piccolo tries to intervene, but he's still glitching out. Garlic then slaps him around, and Gohan and Krillin him for a bit. Then it's Krillin's turn in the spotlight. He puts in some work, but it only pisses Garlic off more. Our heroes seem truly out of options at this point. Meanwhile, Marin is sleeping peacefully with her foot in Yajirobe's mouth, which I can only assume Yajirobe probably likes in some way, shape, or form. Wait, sleeping? Oh, that's right, it's almost sunrise. The deadline! Damn, we beat Frieza just to end up here? What's this? Gohan is now revived. This sets Krillin and Piccolo up for a surprise kick to the face into a submission hold so Gohan can take a clean shot. Way to put the pressure on the 5-year-old, guys. Meanwhile, Kami's making the sacrifice play, allowing Popo to use the super holy water while he keeps the Kamis busy. And just as Gohan's blast is about to land, Piccolo glitches out again, allowing Garlic to escape unscathed. However, Popo does manage to make it in time, and the Earth is cured of the Black Mist. With his plan foiled, Garlic decides to go with his backup plan. Dead Zone 2 Electric Boogaloo. I think we know where this is going. Brings us to episode 116, titled Brief Chance for Victory. Garlic is sure this plan won't backfire this time. Honestly, if I were him and I had two plans foiled by the same child, I think I'd just give up. Even Kami calls out how uninspired it is while being tortured. The fighters are at a stalemate, so Piccolo calls an audible. He decides to go full Jackie Chun and blow up the Mechio star. At least the people of Earth will get a few moments of sanity before the end. Gohan refuses to sacrifice his friends, but it looks like curtains for Kami and Piccolo anyway. Until the past Kamis revive him, I guess? Oh, now you forgive him for trespassing. That's interesting. Anyway, Kami and Popo are then teleported to the surface, and Piccolo is now back in the fight. Then immediately leaves it to go save Kami and Popo again. Then he gets blasted by Garlic's navel ray. I forgot about this move in the top 10, by the way. He just shoots an energy beam out of his stomach, which is amazing. Gohan uses the moment of distraction to power up and destroy the Mechio world. This cuts Garlic's power, which gets him once again stuck in the dead zone. Elsewhere in space, Vegeta continues his search for his true rival, Everyone else on Earth has the weirdest day ever. The good guys all survive, and things start getting back to normal. They celebrate their victory and poke fun at their harebrained schemes of Garlic. Things quickly head back to status quo, but not for very long. Which leads us to our final episode for this week, episode 117, titled Krillin's Proposal. Garlic is done and the world can move on, but the one who hasn't moved on is Marin. It would seem our favorite short king is still spending big bucks on his lady friend. Elsewhere, Roshi gives Bulma a call and asks her to come to the island. Similar calls go out to Yamcha, Chi-Chi, and Ox King, but Krillin's too busy carrying packages to answer, which now seems to involve Marin trying on a wedding dress? Krillin starts hearing wedding bells, even dreams about the nuptials, but Marin quickly moves on to a cool car. So what's going on at Roshi's? Why, it's Turtle's 1000th birthday, of course, complete with 1,000 birthday candles that are basically a bonfire, indoors. Krillin and Marin eventually make it to the party, where Krillin announces their intention to marry, I guess? It's not really an engagement. Everyone gives their blessing despite whatever trepidations they may have about the relationship. Krillin seems to have some doubts himself, worried he can't make Marin happy. So Turtle drops a story about a giant pearl called the Mermaid's Tear. That's sure to make her happy. And after all those Dragon Ball adventures, it's sure to be a snap for a guy like Krillin. And Gohan decides to tag along for funsies. While Krillin's away, the dirty old men will ogle his girlfriend. Wins all around, I guess. Barf. Marin starts flirting with Yamcha out of boredom, which puts Bulma and Chi-Chi on the offensive, but Marin just sort of deflects to their age, which causes an argument over who's an auntie, which is funny because Bulma's got somewhere around 10 years on Chi-Chi. But back underwater, and real quick, those scuba masks are legit. They've got night vision and radios in them, I think, which is wild. The boys are investigating a sunken ship, complete with a treasure that they completely ignore. Instead, they decide to try a cave dive. Great idea because, hey, look, there's the pearl, guarded by a gigantic eel. Good thing this predates Mario 64, otherwise Nintendo's lawyers might be get a little sue happy. They tussle with the eel, but the struggle causes the cave to start collapsing, which prompts the eel and a giant army of fish to try and push the ceiling back up, and coordinate a rescue mission of the giant clam and the pearl. The sea life seems very invested in keeping the pearl, which makes Gohan beg the question, is it absolutely necessary to take it? Krillin decides his future happiness shouldn't cost the current happiness of some fish, so they depart. Krillin returns in defeat and decides that he and Marin should part ways. Yeah, you heard that right. He dumped her. As she watches him walk into the sunset, she says she could have been a bride to him, then walks away. Krillin realizes what he threw away, then can't chase her down because he trips on a stick. Yeah, man can fly, move faster than the eye can move, but he trips on a stick and decides to give up. Anyway. She rides off with a handsome stranger, never to be seen again. Krillin returns to Kame House to share the bad news, where his friends console him the best that they can. Tough luck, buddy.
I actually think Marin reappears.
Does she? I can't think.
During...
Is it during the Cell Saga?
I think. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure.
It's possible. I might have forgotten that.
But there's things about these episodes that I like. Some of the stuff that you were talking about is definitely like storytelling shorthand type of stuff.
Yeah.
There's definitely when when Piccolo starts glitching out, Krillin is like, "Oh, he's glitching out because Kami is under attack in the Shinsenkami realm," and you're like, you don't know that, sir."
Yeah. Yeah, we got characters running around with viewer knowledge. It's crazy.
And it's weird because it's like, this is purely filler. Like, you could just make up an extra episode where Krillin goes to help Kami or something and learns about what's going on and then is like, "Oh, this is what's happening." You're telling this story.
Like, if I were to redo this story arc, I think I would have Krillin go with Kami and Popo.
Mm-hmm.
And have the fight with Garlic be between Piccolo, Gohan, and Garlic, because then when Piccolo starts having problems, it's like, "Oh no, everything's on you now, Gohan. This is your opportunity to prove that you can get the job done."
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I like that. But overall, like you mentioned, there's some really good art. There's some really good flow to these episodes. I don't even mind when it slides away, because again, it's that it slides away from things to either ramp up the tension or just to kind of take a breather for a minute, because watching just nonstop nothing but consecutive battle does get a little tiring.
Sure.
So I think like they're all really well paced. I really like all the stuff that's going on with Vegeta, actually.
I think it's nice to at least see what he's up to, right? Because there doesn't seem to be a good reason for him to stay on Earth at this point in the story, and the idea that he would go off in search of Goku does make sense for the character.
Right. I've always interpreted it as Vegeta is being like haunted by the specter of Goku.
Yeah.
I've seen some people interpret it literally as like Vegeta is like one step behind Goku all along the way.
I don't know about that, because nobody really knows where Goku is to start.
Yeah. I know that like Vegeta sees Goku a couple times, but I've always just interpreted that as more of a he's like haunted by Goku, basically.
Yeah,
like
that's kind of how I interpreted it as well.
He's seeing him everywhere, type of thing.
Yeah.
Every little thing reminds me of him.
His true love.
I just thought of it as you were doing your recaps. Garlic Jr. is Sideshow Bob.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're 100% right about that.
He just gets thwarted by children.
The same child, too.
Yes.
Why did you write "Die Gohan Die"? Oh, no. That's German for the Gohan, the.
And he's been banished to this dank, disgusting, urine-soaked hellhole. Oh, I'm sorry, pee-pee-soaked heck hole.
And then just like how the plan is directly like they don't really care about taking over the world. The whole reason they do the Black Fog is to get Gohan and Goku to show up at Kami's lookout. Never mind that, like, it's clear you can find them because your guys went and found them at Kami's lookout. No, you have to draw them, or not at Kami house, and you have to draw them to Kami's lookout to actually fight them. Is wild.
Yeah. But overall, like, I think these are a lot better than the reputation that they kind of have.
I think so, yeah. It's a nice self-contained little story. There are some spots where it feels a little plot holy, but at the same time it's pretty consistent. I think the henchmen are pretty cool. I like their design. Always love seeing a short king for a villain. Gotta love that. And then it also is like this sort of meta, sort of tongue-in-cheek, like, yeah, we know we already made this as a movie, but we're just going to go ahead and use it for episodes of the anime now.
The only big issue I have with it on a storytelling level, and it's hard to really blame anyone on the anime staff for this, because as these episodes were coming out, I think the manga was still only at the androids. And even if it wasn't only at the androids, it definitely wasn't anywhere near far enough into the Cell and Cell Games saga to get into this whole psychological Gohan piece of it that it ultimately ends up going into. But Gohan just murking at least two of the Spice Boys, and then like later on being like, oh, but I don't want to kill Cell because it's wrong to kill.
Yeah.
Whoops. But like that's kind of the only thing. Everything else, like we said, is more just storytelling shorthand type of shortcuts more than anything else. And it's tough because on the one hand, I feel like, well, you could have taken in an extra episode or two then because you were just telling this on your own. On the other hand, you also don't, I could see the pressure as the anime staff. You don't want to have like a 50 episode filler arc and then have viewership suffer because you're not adapting the manga that's super popular.
True.
So another thing, I didn't have this in our notes because I was just kind of thinking of it. I looked into like the 7 air currents thing. Mm-hmm. It was nothing I could find in Buddhism, Taoism, or Shintoism, but it does actually exist in Hindu thoughts.
Interesting.
There are 7 air currents in Hindu, and like I forget, it's like it's different than what the show like kind of depicts it as. Like the show almost depicts it as like these are the air currents that like spread across the globe.
Yeah.
The Hindu line of thought is a little bit more like one of the air currents like lifts clouds, another one like makes the sun track across the sky. Like it's stuff like that.
Right.
Like each one has a separate purpose. One is the wind, one is lifting clouds, one is like helping birds fly. Like it's all it's a different sort of way to think about it, but it does the concept exists in Eastern thought actually.
Okay.
And there's also a Buddhist it was like the 8 earthly winds or something, which is that's more about pairings of like loss and gain, stuff like that. But these concepts kind of do exist, sort of. I didn't look super deep into them because I found a bunch of other cool stuff to talk about. So let's talk about some of it.
All right.
Unless you got some more general thoughts.
No, I think that pretty much covers it as far as the episodes themselves.
Okay. So let's talk about the last episode with the Mermaid's Tear. A quick note, Mermaid Tears is actually like a romantic name that's kind of colloquially or historically or folklorically been used for beach glass. The folklore claims that glass found on the beach is the crystallized tears of mermaids weeping for their lost loves. They are said to have magical properties such as vitality and healing abilities, as those are properties associated with fresh mermaid tears. It would just be less so for beach glass or mermaid tears that you find on the beach, but it's just people inventing sort of like romantic stories behind all this beach glass. It's just glass. It's not anything cool. It's just like when you walk down the beach and you find a piece of soft. It's not soft, but worn down.
Yeah, it's like nice and smooth, no sharp edges on it usually.
Yeah. However, there is at least one real-life story of a giant pearl, and it's definitely one of those truth is stranger than fiction moments. So, I thought it was really interesting. Even if the anime is 0% inspired by this, I learned about it. I thought it was really cool, or at least interesting. I wanted to share it. This is what it's like, welcome to the Final Forum True Crime podcast now, because this is a true crime story.
Incredible.
Like I was telling everyone earlier, tell one person about this. Tell your wife who's obsessed with true crime stories.
This is now a true crime podcast.
So there is a pearl of Lao Tzu, and this exists. This is a real thing. So legend has it that Lao Tzu or Lao Tzu, this is Lao Tzu of like Journey to the West and Buddhism or Taoism fame. This is Lao Tzu. So legend has it that Lao Tzu, or Lao Tzu, had a jade amulet carved with the likeness of himself on one face and the Buddha on another. And a disciple of Lao Tzu took the amulet and placed it into a clam. And when the pearl formed around the amulet, then outgrew the clam into which it was placed into another clam, and another, until it grew enormous in size. The pearl became so large and so valuable that wars were fought over it, and in 1750 it was sent away from China as a protective measure. It became lost during a storm and forgotten by history. Then, in 1934, over 2,500 years after the amulet was initially hidden inside of a clam, a Filipino fisherman died while trying to unearth a large clam, and when his friends and family went to claim the body out of respect, they also brought up the clam, and inside was a pearl that weighed over 14 pounds. They named the pearl of Allah, as it is not a perfect sphere like we think of pearls, but rather an irregularly shaped lump with many apparent folds, as if it were a man wearing a turban, and therefore it resembled Muhammad. This is most assuredly all fabrication except for the existence of the pearl itself and the possibility that it was first found in 1934. Because in 1939, the pearl first began appearing in public, presented by one Wilburn Cobb at Ripley's Believe It or Not auditorium in New York City. According to Cobb, in an article written by the American Museum of Natural History in November of 1939, the pearl was given to him when he saved the native chieftain's son from malaria in 1936. It's well accepted that Cobb was in the Philippines at this time frame and was ingratiated with the Dayak tribe in the area, but as to the pearl being found by a man who died in its finding and naming it the Pearl of Allah, it's never been confirmed, and the traditions of Islamic faith suggest that no Muslim would name it the Pearl of Allah, as it would veer too far into idolatry to claim this object had the face of the Prophet Muhammad on it. Muslims are not allowed to depict Muhammad in art, and it just would be extremely unlikely to claim this thing to be displayed resembles Muhammad. That's just most likely fabrication from this Cobb, who was coming up with this story, I don't want to say on the fly, but he was like trying to create interest and intrigue around this pearl. The part of it being the Pearl of Lao Tzu, also likely just pure fabrication. Cobb was a natural storyteller and embellisher, and when interest in the pearl waned in the 1960s, he presented the story of Lao Tzu for the first time, claiming that while he was exhibiting the pearl at Ripley's, a mysterious Mr. Lee from China came to him, told him the story of Lao Tzu, and then disappeared without a trace. Cobb never attempted to sell the pearl. Historians consider him to be just a man who found an interesting item and via some fun storytelling sought to make it even more interesting. In 1980, this is where we're starting to get true crimey with this.
All right.
In 1980, when Cobb passed away, his daughter sold the pearl for $200,000 to Peter Hoffman and Victor Barbish. Barbish was convinced the pearl was worth millions upon millions, and in order to prop up his convictions, came up with further details to the Lao Tzu story in order to lend it further credence and put forth the pearl as a religious artifact. Shortly after purchasing the pearl, Barbish needed to borrow money and went presumably to a friend named Joseph Bonicelli and borrowed money in exchange for a stake in the pearl. In 1990, Bonicelli sued Barbish as the loan had not been repaid and he wanted money, not a stake in the pearl. The court ruled that Barbish, Bonicelli, and Hoffman were equal partners in the pearl, and after further legal proceedings in 1998, ordered that the pearl be sold and the proceeds split 3 ways. This has not happened to this day because in 1998, Bonicelli passed away, and at roughly the same time, a confession came into the hands of police in Colorado Springs from a man who was paid $10,000 in 1975 to murder Bonicelli's wife, Eloise.
What?
Eloise's children brought a wrongful death suit against Botticelli with his stake of the pearl as the prize, and in 2005 they won. So now the pearl is due to be sold and paid to Hoffman, Barbish, and the children of Joseph and Eloise Botticelli. Final judgment after appeals and all was rendered in 2007, but Victor Barbish, who had been sort of the principal owner of the pearl and what sounds like, frankly, a con man, died in 2008. Throughout the 80s and 90s, Barbish would consistently tell financiers that he was close to closing a deal for the pearl to be like sold or displayed with like an amusement park and things around it, and needed an influx of cash to get the deal across the line. The pearl had been estimated to be worth $40 million by Colorado Springs Gemological Institute, and so Barbish was able to essentially fleece money from people with promises of these cash influxes returned multiple times over after the sale was completed. Barbish would make claims that wealthy individuals from China were interested in buying the pearl, or that the president of the Philippines was prior to his fall from power. He even claimed at one point that Osama Bin Laden wanted to buy it and give it to Saddam Hussein as a peace offering.
What?
Some of these supposed sales were actually true. President Ferdinand Marcos of the Philippines did want to buy the pearl, but he fell from power. Others are likely fabrications from a con man trying to inflate the value of the pearl and get further investors. The Hussein estate denies bin Laden ever approached Saddam with promises of a giant pearl. The clam has been in probate court since 2008 because of all of these stakes in it that Barbish sold over the years. Interestingly, though, it's all this history and wild storytelling and murder and scandal that makes this pearl worth anything, as it lacks the iridescence of pearls that come from saltwater pearl oysters and freshwater pearl mussels. This thing is basically just a chunk of calcium carbonate. It's a chunk of limestone chalk. That's all that this pearl is, and people have been in legal battles around murder since its discovery.
Goodness. Okay.
Quick footnote. In 2016, an even more massive pearl, weighing 75 pounds, known as the Pearl of Puerto, came to public attention, having been found by a fisherman in 2006, 10 years prior, and kept as a good luck charm until gifting it to the city of Puerto Princesa's tourism office in the Philippines. So
it's not even that big. It's not even the biggest pearl anymore.
Right, and they're not even technically pearls the way gemologists define pearls, like as a gem, as
right.
a gemstone. They are buildups of particulate that come from clams rather than oysters, and therefore lack it's mother of pearl is what it's called. That gives pearls their luster.
Mm-hmm. So, let's talk about mist. But actually, first, let's talk briefly about Shinsenkai, the realm of the former kami inside Kami's Lookout. Shinsenkai translates to New World, but is clearly an old place of dead things and spirits. So we've got some of that opposite of what you might expect type stuff going on. Additionally, it plays into a lot of what we're about to talk about with the barriers between the real world and the spiritual realm being broken down throughout these episodes. Quick fact, the kami of previous generations have no lines in the Japanese version of the show, but in the Funimation dub, they do. There's a fun little Easter egg. So, mist. Mist and fog have long been used by folk storytellers and crafters of legend the world over. The Irish speak of Fethfiada, a mist that ensures elvish supernatural beings known as the Tuatha de Danann remain invisible to humans. Dutch folklore tells of Witweven, mysterious figures of wise women who have had many different roles, from wise caregivers to meddling tricksters to fearsome bringers of death, but all versions speak of them traveling on wispy mists. Norse mythology features Niflheim, the frost realm where Ymir and the frost giants live, and where Loki's from. And Niflheim translates as World of Mist. There's also a Valkyrie named Mist. So Japan is no different. The Enenra is a creature from Japanese folklore that is made of smoke and lives in the billowing smoke of bonfires. Only those with a pure heart can see an Enenra. Another yokai associated with mist is the Azuki Aba, a hag-like creature that appears on misty nights who casts an eerie white glow that can be seen through the mist. This false light that travelers might mistake for the light of safety from a house or an inn, along with a song the Azuki Baba sings, winds up fooling men into believing they're safe and falling prey to her. Now, the Yuki Onna, who we spoke about in our episode covering the Bancho fan filler arc from the end of Dragon Ball, also appears during heavy fogs, albeit especially cold and wintry ones. But the more that we've come to learn about the Yuki Onna, the more convinced we are that it was influential in the decision to have the mountain in that episode erupt into a blizzard whenever a woman set foot on it.
Yeah, and I'm unsure if I'm gonna do it as maybe I'll do it as a winter episode, or maybe I'll do it as a nice capper to Halloween one year. I haven't decided yet. Maybe it's already up on our feed now. so me postulating about this is a moot point. But the Yuki Onna is a story collected in the collection Kwaidan, and those stories are all public domain. So I plan to do a reading of the Yuki Onna. It's a short story. It'd take like 5 minutes to read.
That sounds fun.
But just a 5-minute reading of the Yuki Onna story as part of our. I haven't decided yet whether it's best to do it for Halloween because spooky or Christmas because winter.
Maybe we could do it for Christmas. Do like a Krampus spin on it or something. Start beating children with sticks. Anyways, back when we did our episode on the other filler episode called The Roaming Lake, which would be the 20th episode ever of our show, we talked a bit about Japan's fascination with lakes and folklore around them. Here's where these two pieces of culture collide. There's a lake in Japan, Lake Mashu in Hokkaido in northern Japan, which is considered sacred by Japan's indigenous Ainu people. The lake sits within a 200-meter deep crater with steep walls created by a volcanic eruption roughly 2,000 years ago. It is often shrouded in fog and mist and is so difficult to access safely that visiting it is prohibited by the Japanese Ministry of Environment, except via observation towers. And the hike and climb of the towers is a bit of a gamble, as the lake is covered in fog for more than 100 days per year. It is said if one pierces the veil of mist over the water's surface, defying the gods' will to keep it from being seen, and views their reflection, it will cause them to experience hardships. For men, that comes in the form of career stagnation and difficulty in work, and for women, it comes in the form of difficulty with bearing children. Those don't quite seem the same. Those seem a little different.
Yeah, that's old folklore, obviously, right? That's
Right.
That's your old folklore. It's general hardships, though. Because I'm gonna go ahead and say that some people might find not being able to bear children to be kind of a good thing. Not everyone, but some people. So all these things, though, show that mist and fog are often associated with supernatural realms and beings in folklore around the world. It's often depicted as a veil between the human world and either a sacred or terrifying one. Kirishima, a mountain range in southern Japan in the Kagoshima prefecture, whose name translates to Island of Mist, is said to look like islands floating in the fog, as fog often covers the mountains. It is a region that has high volcanic activity and is one of the most mythologically important areas in all of Japan. As legend says, it is where Ninigi no Mikato, grandson of the sun goddess Amaterasu, descended from heaven to rule over the earth and spawned the lineage of Japanese emperors. We're going to be talking a little bit more about Japanese emperors and imperial succession in pretty soon when we sort of do a thing
Yes.
that's coming up very soon, when we basically learn that Frieza is a nepo baby, essentially. Anyway, Ninigi no Mikato brought with him the three treasures, a sword, a mirror, and a gem, which might be a flimsy enough pretext to one day review or watch or provide commentary for the movie The Three Treasures, which in part features dramatic interpretations of the birth of Japan from the oldest Japanese text, the Kochiki. I've actually seen that movie before. It's really good. It's just it's very long. It's very like culturally like dense but it's really good. It's got like a really good soundtrack by Akira Ifukube and
Sweet.
it's got some really good effects work from Eiji Tsuburaya doing a giant 8-headed dragon. So there's some really good stuff in it. Anyway, mists and fog are associated with the supernatural and the other and realms and worlds beyond our understanding and transformative properties. And so there's a little surprise that a story about trying to ruin the world as we know it and turn the world as we know it in Dragon Ball into a demon realm unto itself would feature mist pouring out and transforming people. This isn't unique unto Dragon Ball either, just to point out some of the other pop culture using this as a point of inspiration. The Terrigen mists were first introduced into Marvel Comics in Thor number 46 in 1967, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Terrigen mist is a gas produced from Terrigen crystals, which causes the Inhumans to develop their powers. It's also fatal to mutants and the cause of a later storyline in Humans vs. X-Men. Stephen King uses this general idea as well, having created a curtain between worlds called a thinny, a thin spot between worlds in his Dark Tower series, which figures prominently in the fourth book in the series, Wizard and Glass. It's not exactly mist, but it is sort of like a wispy...
We're missing one of my favorite Stephen King movies of all time, The Mist.
Oh yeah, that too. And that movie is awesome. The movie is awesome. The book is good too. The movie's awesome.
The book's good, but I appreciate the ending on the movie. It
me
really
too.
just helps sell how screwed that entire situation was.
Yeah. That's a great movie. I really like it a lot. I saw that movie in theaters.
Same.
And when it ended, I remember just like sitting in my chair being oh no.
It's like, this is the worst possible outcome.
That to this day might be the darkest ending I've ever seen in a theater.
Oh, it's definitely up there. For
sure.
like
a wide release movie.
Yeah, it was pretty depressing.
That's and it's funny because the other, I won't even say ending, but just one of the other most memorably mean-spirited, I can't believe I'm sitting in a theater watching a wide, like, mainstream released movie doing this thing was also a Stephen King movie. And it's when I saw Dr. Sleep in theaters.
Oh.
Dr. Sleep has a scene about halfway into it where the bad guys catch and kill a young child. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily graphic, but it is pretty intense of them torturing and murdering a small child.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up.
And I was like sitting in a movie theater being like, oh wow. And one of the other times that happened to me was also a Stephen King movie.
I'm sensing a pattern.
With It, Chapter 1.
Oh, yeah.
When he's, like, gleefully waving around dismembered body parts of children.
Yeah, like waving with their arm.
Yeah. It's because, like, we see stuff like that in movies, like, all the time. These days especially. Like, I mean, pick an alien or a predator or, you know, like those kinds of... But there's this, like, unwritten rule of storytelling that, like, children are off limits.
Yeah, for the most part, sure.
And if you do something with children, you don't show it, like, very much, right? Like, Jaws has the kid getting eaten, but the kid gets eaten and then the raft washes up on shore, and, like, that's it.
Yeah. There's no bits of child in the raft.
Dogs, or kids and dogs, those are, like, the two You don't do anything.
And wasn't there a movie that just came out? It was a horror movie where the main character is a dog.
Yeah, I want to see. I have not seen that as of our
I
recording
haven't
this
seen it
episode
yet
yet, and I want. It's called Good Boy, I think.
Yes, it is.
And yes, I want to see that. Now, as we say all the time, whether all of this means anything ultimately is up to you. We just think it provides color and a possible understanding of why some of these choices were made here, like using a mist to transform the world and humanity's fascination with giant pearls. These are just sort of things that have been in human consciousness and human storytelling for a long time because they're fascinating, they're interesting, and there's this part of me that really does like stories like that, even though I logically, rationally know that it's like all bunk.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I love Bigfoot stories and I love Loch Ness Monster stories, but I also, there's no such thing as Bigfoot and there's no such thing as the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah, but it's more fun to go through life with just that little bit of, maybe there is more going on in the world than I fully understand.
Yes, I think there's a like romantic nature to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I really like those stories. Best Bigfoot movie, by the way, is Harry and the Hendersons.
Agreed. Oh, hard agree. Speaking of, I should watch that. It's been a while.
I don't even know if there's like a close second.
I don't even know if there is a second.
Oh, there's a second. I just don't know how close it.
Oh wait, what's there was one on it's like a family of Bigfoots out in the wilderness. It's a movie. There's like no dialogue because they don't speak. I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
I think it's called Sasquatch Sunset. I saw that not too long ago. It's not good. It's boring.
I thought it was pretty entertaining.
I thought it was like more interesting and like a bold movie to make than a good one.
Yeah, I'll concede on that point. Yeah, it's definitely them trying something different.
Yes.
Whether or not it lands, I think is going to come down to the individual, but they at least tried something different.
Yes, I agree. The number 2 Bigfoot movie, since we're down on this path for a minute here, is potentially Asylum's movie, Bigfoot. It's called Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. And if you're looking for this movie and trying to find it, I don't know what year it came out in, but if you just look for Bigfoot movies, look for one that has Alice Cooper in it. And at one point, the giant Bigfoot punts Alice Cooper. And it's awesome. We've talked about the Asylum before in one of our movie commentaries. We did it in it's called like the super secret movie commentary. It was the one that just the two of us did with Fight Son Goku, Win Son Goku. Yes.
Oh, okay.
They have some bangers. Bigfoot is one of them. That might be the second best Bigfoot movie, but the best is Harry and the Hendersons.
True.
Oh, to get in my Godzilla reference for the day, there's also an Ishiro Honda directed Bigfoot movie called Half Human, and it's okay. What it is it's the best looking ape suit that Toho ever made, which may or may not be saying something if you know how bad their King Kong suits looked.
Fair.
But it's one of those things where as a fan of all this stuff, like I've obviously seen it, and I, because I want to see all these like tokusatsu movies and kaiju movies and things that Ishiro Honda directed and such. And my biggest takeaway when I watched it is because it's what Ishiro Honda did instead of directing the first Godzilla sequel. And my big takeaway always was because it's like it predates any of Toho's like efforts at doing a King Kong. My big takeaway whenever I watch Half Human, which has been like twice in my life so far, and I don't know if I'll ever watch it again because it's not very good, but it's always like, wait, you could make an ape-ish suit that looked that good in 1956, but you couldn't make one that looked that good in 1962?
Yeah, budget problems, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, there's also oh, I feel like I may have mentioned this. If I haven't mentioned this movie in the past, I'm gonna do it right now. There's Yeti. It's called Yeti, Monster of the 20th Century or something like that.
Okay.
This movie has to be seen to be believed. It is a Italian attempt to rip off / cash in on the 1976 King Kong movie. It's unhinged. At one point, the female, like, the Fey Ray, like the blonde girl that the giant ape creature falls in love with,
Of course.
is hanging out with him, and he gets hard nipples, and there's like, it's not just like they built a gigantic nipple prop and had it get hard. This is a thing that exists in a movie that you
It
can.
reminds me of the Saturday Night Live sketch about King Kong.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with that sketch. You can't find that sketch now. Did you know that?
No, geez, I wonder why. uh, quick change up here. We talked about plenty of Sasquatch and King Kong movies, but our topic to start today was mermaid tears. So, what's your favorite mermaid movie?
Ooh, I okay. I really like The Little Mermaid, honestly.
That's a solid choice. Really is. It's a great musical for one, and two, I think it's always fun when, as a kid, you can watch a movie and agree with one character, but then as you get older, you agree with a different character.
Okay, so
In this case, as a kid, you agree with Ariel, like, oh no, you should totally have your own freedom to do what you want with your life. And then as an adult, you watch and you go, yeah, no, Triton's right. You shouldn't be messing around with this stuff.
there's also a pretty good one called I'm trying to think of what it's called. It was like a I feel like it man, I can't even think of what it was called. But it's like a Eastern European type of movie. It's not like I can't even remember what it was called. It was fun. I can't remember at all what it was called anymore.
It's all right.
But I do also enjoy, if you're going to talk about movies where there is a mermaid in them, Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, that's a good one. That technically meets the criteria. I was going to argue that technically, if you want to go with it just appears in the movie, I would argue that Hellboy is a mermaid movie, thanks to Abe Sapien.
Okay.
And then my pick for my favorite mermaid movie would be Guillermo del Toro's The Shape of Water.
Okay.
Which is, in my opinion, it's a mermaid movie, but the roles are reversed. Normally, you expect like a female mermaid and a male protagonist, and they swapped that for that movie, obviously. But
why couldn't she be the
good.
other kind of mermaid with the fish part on the top and the lady part on the bottom?
That's the only one that makes sense.
To quote Philip J. Fry, The Lure was the movie I was thinking of, and it's it's a Polish movie.
Okay.
It's a little bit quirky and offbeat, so it might not be for everyone, but it is a cool, like, mermaid horror type of story.
I feel like our whole thing is quirky and offbeat, so it should be perfect for our audience.
So then there's also Blew My Mind, and that's BLUE, and that's like about a teenager who discovers that they're a mermaid. And there's also Splash, the Daryl Hannah, Tom Hanks.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Comedy. But
fair enough.
Yeah, mermaid. So we've talked about mermaids and fog and for some reason Bigfoot. I think that all just ties into this, like, it's understandable that there's this fascination with these sorts of folklore and legends, and this like romanticized idea of a giant pearl, and this romanticized idea of something unseen, and it could be either good or bad, that's like just beyond that mist and that fog, because that makes the world a more interesting place.
Agreed.
So, all told, this is it. This is that's the Garlic Jr. arc, and there's no manga comparison point this time.
Yep.
That I know of, at least. I don't know if there's an animanga for this. For those who don't know, an animanga is where to me, they seem frankly pointless. Maybe that's harsh, but what an animanga is when they take still frames from the anime and make a manga of it.
Oh, I could see that with this one because there is a lot of good art in it.
It seems kind of pointless to me.
Sure. But if you were going to pick an arc to do that with, I feel like this one would be appropriate.
As opposed to like a novelization of something, which I also still think is borders on pointless, but at least in novelizations, you can like get into characters' heads sometimes.
Sure.
A lot of times they're based on like older versions of scripts where you get scenes that didn't appear in the movie for one reason or another. So novelizations can sometimes be like slightly different or provide additional context or things like that the movie themselves didn't. But an animanga to me seems kind of pointless. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I guess if there's people willing to read it and look at it, I guess it wasn't pointless, right?
Well, yeah. There's that piece of it.
But my bar is not high for what counts as art, I guess.
No, I'm not. I'm not poo-pooing the artistry of it, I guess. I just think, why not just watch the thing?
Also true.
But anyways, so we've hit the end of Dragon Ball. Yeah. We've hit the end of Garlic Jr. What would you give Garlic Jr. out of 7 Dragon Balls?
I'd give it a 5 out of 7. It's a solid story arc. It's short, sweet, to the point, but it doesn't fit very well in the overall storyline, and there are some weird situations / plot holy stuff that happens.
I'm right there with you. I'm at that 5 out of 7, which would be like a 3.5 out of 5 type of thing, right? It's around where I am. I agree. It's like it's solidly paced. Some of the art is really good, and people always talk about how Piccolo hasn't done anything ever since he became a hero. Well, here's like a whole arc that is mostly focused on Piccolo and mostly focused on Gohan, and like Goku is literally seen for like 5 frames in all of these episodes, and in the way Bekinney and I interpret these episodes, it is a hallucination on the part of Vegeta. It is not actually Goku. And so, and even Vegeta is only in these 10 episodes for a total of 5 minutes.
If that, yeah.
So here you go. This is like kind of your last hurrah for Krillin and Piccolo and not Gohan, but Piccolo and Krillin kind of get sort of their last little hurrah right here in a way. And really it is, and it's funny because I don't think this is another thing. I don't think the anime team knew this at the time, but this is a very Kami-centric story. Kami has a lot to do here, and it winds up kind of being a farewell to Kami because pretty soon he is going to exit the story forever.
Yeah. I also want to give this one a couple bonus points because, like we pointed out earlier, how this sort of undercuts Gohan's struggle at the end of the Cell Saga, but at the same time, it does kind of set us up nicely for like Krillin and Android 18. It sets us up for the whole Piccolo Kami thing later on. So it does set up some things, but it does undercut others, which is why it's still not higher than a 5.
Yeah. I enjoy it though. I liked it quite a bit more than I kind of assumed I was gonna.
Yeah, and I think when you go into it knowing that like, oh no, this is pure filler, like this wasn't original to Toriyama's work, I think it also kind of adds a little extra bit of fun to it because it's so well done.
Yeah, I agree. So are you ready now?
I am actually. In fact, Ha!
Yeah.
Ha! Whew. Okay. For the record, I think this is a bad idea.
You'd rather sit in this swirling vortex of nothingness?
I'd rather trust the version of us that was clearly more well-equipped than we are.
I leave nothing to the chance of others. That's why I'm still alive.
I'd say you're still alive because you've luck, personally.
Okay, that's enough. Time to move.
I still have a bad feeling about this.
Am I just alive because of luck? Is that luck about to run out? Find out next time and help us achieve our final forum.
Final Form is written and produced by Tom Gwelly. It is performed by Dan Kinney and Tom Gwelly. Our webmaster is Dan Kinney. Our theme music is provided by YouTube content creator GVG Kid. Want to learn more about the Dragon Ball universe, including concept art, behind-the-scenes interviews, and recommendations from Jelli and Bekinney? Connect with us on social media. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Final Forum Pod. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you receive your podcasts. And of course, make sure to share with your friends and family and help us spread the word of the glory of Lord Frieza. The Frieza Force thanks you for your listenership.